What's up, everyone, and happy Friday. I hope everyone is having a great start to their Friday. I'm actually going to have to get this video out pretty fast because I have my nieces over, if you couldn't even tell by my background, and I don't know if you can hear them in the background. You know, God bless my sister. She's put them away in her room for just a second. But because of that, I don't want to prolong this video anyway. But one thing I want to say is happy Good Friday, happy Resurrection Sunday, because I'm not going to talk to you guys on Sunday. But make sure that even during this quarantine and even during this pandemic that you're still focusing on the main reason for Easter, if you call it, or Resurrection Sunday, as some people call it too. Make sure you're still focusing on what that means. If you want to get together with loved ones, great. If not, that's also great. If you normally go to church, but you don't know, where to go to church. A lot of churches are streaming services. My church is streaming service on Facebook, the Well Church of Northeast Ohio, so you can tune in there if you like to, or just find another church to stream. That way you can still, participate in the Resurrection Sunday activities, even though you're not physically going to be going to church, but you could still, participate in those activities. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our last day of our week of brokenness for our month full of wholeness. So, as always, God is blessing us. He's always going to be blessing us. I mentioned this book on Wednesday, and honestly, I haven't finished reading it, but the bits and pieces that I have read so far, this is an excellent book. And for anyone who really does need to go through the journey of wholeness, because of course this week we're just talking about brokenness, but throughout the rest of the month, this is our journey to wholeness. So honestly, I'll probably be bringing up this book more. I have a couple other reads that I probably am going to reference as well, but this book is an excellent book. Like, shout out to you, Tori Roberts, if you ever come across this. Shout out to you, because this is a great book. But I mentioned on Wednesday that Tori Roberts, in one of his chapters, he mentioned that there were a couple different steps in order to recognize your brokenness. And I want to discuss those and dive deep into those today, because I think that those steps they pretty much generalize or encompass all of the other things that you could do in order to recognize your brokenness. So the first one he identified was acknowledging it. First and foremost, you need to acknowledge it. So a lot of times people recognize areas of brokenness in their lives, but they focus so much on the areas that are whole, or the areas that are okay, or the areas that are right, that they don't spend too much time on the areas that are broken. And honestly, the first step of really almost any program is acknowledging the fact that you are dealing with something, or acknowledging the fact that, hey, I may be broken in some area. And just because you are acknowledging the fact that you're broken in some area does not mean that you are a broken person, okay? That is not who God created us to be. So we are not broken people. We just have areas that need to be fixed. And honestly, same thing with a car. And I don't know why I use car references a lot, because I'm not really a car person, but I feel like it's very easy to pull examples from. Awkward. But same thing with the car. Just because your tire is flat on your car does not mean you throw the whole car away, or does not mean that it's a junk car, okay? You get the tire fixed and you keep it pushing, all right? Same thing with us. Just because there may be some parts of us that are broken doesn't mean that we throw our whole lives away and just say, I'm a broken person, whatever. No, we acknowledge it first, okay? And also, in that same example, just because we acknowledge the fact, just because we have acknowledged the fact that that we are broken in some area, doesn't mean that that's all we have to do. Like, acknowledging it is great, but now you need to go deeper in order to figure out, like, what am I broken from, and how do I start on my journey towards wholeness, okay? Which actually is what we'll be talking about for the rest of the month. The second step that he identified, or the second thing he identified as in order to recognize your brokenness, is to follow your pain. So a lot of things, we're humans, right? Like, we get hurt by a lot of different things, by a lot of different people, but some things have more of an effect than others. For example, for me, I'll say for me, when I was in school, sometimes, if you're in gym class or whatever, and you're supposed to get like, sometimes you have team captains and they pick, you know, the people that they want on their teams. Sometimes I wouldn't get picked, and I'm not gonna lie, like, it hurt my feelings then, but I was not affected by that. Why? Because it wasn't like I was never fake. I was never picked for things. I did not suffer from rejection or anything like that. So when I wasn't picked, I was like, oh man, like, y'all suck. Her feelings were a little bit hurt, but I moved on. However, for some people, when they were not picked as a child, that resonated some deeper pain because they dealt with rejection, and it may be rejection from outside of school. It may have been rejection from your parents, or rejection from another loved one, or from your siblings, or anything like that. So following the pain and not just looking at things high level, but making sure that you're going in deep. Like, okay, this hurt me enough to really affect me, but why am I so affected by that? You know what I'm saying? So as of now, like, if someone did something to you, now, if you didn't get picked for a job, okay, there are plenty of jobs that I've interviewed for and I didn't get picked for. But if that is something that really affected you and affected, you know, who you are as a person, you may need to follow that pain and figure out the root of why you were so affected by not getting picked for a job. Because the reality is, we're not the perfect person for every single job. I know, I would like to think that I'm the perfect person for everything, but I know that I'm not. So when I don't get picked for things, I'm not affected by that. But if you are someone who is like that, whether it's things, whether it's people, anything like that, or just any other situation, you may want to follow the pain there and figure out like what areas you're broken in. The last thing is trust outside eyes. And this one is important, but this one is you have to be very picky with the outside eyes that you are trusting to come into your life and tell you something about yourself. Why? Because I feel like a lot of times people give their personal opinion on some areas. Like, if I don't like something about you, it's easy for me to tell you I don't like something about you, rather than try to coach you or counsel you and say, hey, you know, this is something that you need to fix because of X, Y, and Z. I'm now getting too personal. So trusting outside eyes, honestly, is very tricky. It's a slippery slope. It's very tricky. If you have one or two people, max 3, that you can trust to really tell you about yourself and allow you to, and allow assistance, or that they can help you with this path to wholeness, that's really all you need. Minimum of 1, maximum of 3. Because too many outside eyes can really affect you. Now, are you even looking at, you know, are you even able to look at your own life? But also, too many opinions is just recipe for disaster. Okay, so trusting outside eyes is a very tricky one. However, if you find someone that is able to not only tell you about yourself in a loving way, but has your best interests at heart, and also is concerned and is willing to help you on your path to wholeness, grab onto them with a tight fist and ask them to help you on your path to wholeness. Because they're the people that sometimes when you're dealing with something, it always helps to have someone on the outside look in. That way that there's an unbiased opinion. Because even myself, like, I have a lot of biased opinions on a lot of things that go on in my life, and it's not until like someone that's very close to me. Like, I have a couple outside eyes that I can trust. Thank you to the outside eyes. You know who you are. But some of those people, they tell me about them. They tell me about myself, and they tell me when I'm doing wrong, or they quickly check me. And sometimes I do get offended. I'm not gonna lie. But because I trust these people, I know that it came from a loving place. So even though I may have a moment of offense, because I'm human, I know at the end of the day, they're looking out for me, and they're trying to help me be the best person that God created me to be. So as long as it's coming from a loving place, then, you know, trust them. But yeah, those are the 3 areas here. Again, I would recommend getting this book and reading this book. I will probably mention it again several more times throughout this month, because it's just so spot on with our month full of wholeness and the journey that we are all going on together. Because I have a lot of things that needs to be fixed in my life too. So I know it may look otherwise, but we're on this journey together. But yeah, so I hope everyone has a fabulous, fabulous weekend, a fabulous Resurrection Sunday. And I will talk to you guys again on Monday.